HIPcast is brought to you by Enterprise Social Record.
You know, I know that we always joke about the fact that it's illegal to have a healthcare podcast without saying AI these days. But it's been a really long time since, it feels like a really long time since we've had a podcast dedicated to artificial intelligence for the health information professional, doesn't it?
It seems like a long time. And in fact, I think it has been when I was looking back. Miss Sharon has not been with us since November of 2024. And then I was like, oh my goodness, we've been doing this since 2024.
And that's how long we've been talking about AI, which kind of leads us to welcoming Sharon Easterling back. Welcome, Sharon. Thank you for joining us again.
Oh gosh, thank you guys. So glad to be back. And I can't believe it's been that long.
I can't either. It does. But you know, it's interesting. I'm so excited to get to the end of this podcast. Not that I'm trying to rush my time with my friends and colleagues here who I respect, but I can't wait to get to the end of this to just share what Sharon's been working on since that time, almost immediately since that time. I think Sharon's been working on some really amazing things, and they're specific to our profession. I'm so excited. We were at CAHIIM just not long ago, and at the annual meeting, and there was a lot of talk on data governance and information governance, and of course any data generated, whether it's generated with AI or something else, that's healthcare data, patient health information, which we govern. And so we need to know all about it, right? So today we're going to talk all things AI specific to our profession and maybe a little outside of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely excited to do it.
Well, let's just jump right in. We normally ask about a journey or whatnot. I don't know. We didn't really talk about this. We kind of did that the first time you were on. You told us your career path and where you're at, but we got a lot of content to cover. So
we have so much content, but let me give just a short bio of Sharon. Sharon is respected, admired, capable, progressive thinking, problem solving. She's been a program director for education. She has created products that are on the market today. She's done a million things as VP of revenue integrity, I think. And she is a very accomplished health information professional who has my utmost respect. And I will follow Sharon's lead. I almost always follow her lead if I have a question about artificial intelligence for us, I'm thinking, I wonder what Sharon thinks about this. So there's a high level introduction for Sharon.
Both ways, Shannon. Both ways.
Exciting stuff.
Well, we're going to get into some agents, so we need a Sharon Easterling agent that we can go ask a question to, and then it's an automatic AI agent. So let's jump in there. What's going on in the AI world right now?
I love that stuff. All of us actually could have our own agents. Isn't
That's so cool.
Pretty cool to have an agent for your staff and a GPT for your staff, where they can have a companion that they can ask questions to, especially if you have a new staff member, right? That there's just learning. Maybe they don't have their guidelines well, where they can ask questions, and guess what? You could train it. Right. So you don't have to worry about, some of the external world coming in. You can put some limitations around it and change it for your staff. So those types of things I want to see us doing more of, Seth. I do know there are some organizations out there that are getting more involved with having their own chat GPTs, right? That are enterprise, having their own Claudes that are enterprise. But I'm expecting we're going to see more of that. So let me tell you a little bit about what an agent is. Perfect. For example, an AI agent. AI agents perform tasks. They do things for us, whether that is sending us an email, sending us a reminder, or actually going across the web at different web addresses and completing a task for you. So I know you guys have probably heard about ChatGPT now and how it can shop for you. right? Or how it can make your plane reservation, right? So those are examples of agents that go out and execute functions for you. Let's just say you had some paperwork you needed to fill out for your healthcare. And let's just say your institution was using that type of software, and you could go in and complete all your pre-work for your upcoming visit. But you didn't have to do that.
That's awesome.
Because there's an agent that could pull your information and complete all that paperwork for you. So you wouldn't need to complete that paperwork. So that's what agents are doing. Claude right now is fascinating. Are you guys playing with Claude?
I haven't played with Claude in probably 9 months.
Oh gosh, Claude
I'm
is
so behind.
Completely changed now with like
It
open
is
Claude.
so different, I heard.
Let me tell you, Claude has propelled itself over the past few months. I had reservations about Claude. And I'm going to tell you why Claude I had some reservations about, because Claude is very assuming. What does that mean, Sharon? It's assuming. Well, when Claude gets a huge amount of data and it's on a huge chat string, for example, it will start assuming things and kind of making things up. So, for instance, if it said 2,000 people were surveyed and 95% of those people said that they don't use AI, it might continue and turn that 2,000 to 20,000. It could, make a new analogy for that and said they use AI at nighttime. So Claude did a little bit of that initially. You have to really get your training around Claude. But I've noticed that Claude is doing better. Remember that when you do these long chat strings with these AIs, the information can get more displaced. It can forget more. So sometimes you got to do a new chat or refresh or tell the AI to get back to the subject. But Claude uses great agents. So if you're out there chatting with Claude and you're saying, what's going on with CDI and pneumonia, for example. And Claude will come back and he'll give you some information. And then Claude's going to say, well, Sharon, would you like to create a pneumonia screener for coding staff? I can make it for you right now. And so Claude will then execute creating you, whether it's an agent that other people can use, that you can post online and, use it as a tool. So Claude has come so far. You guys have got to play with Claude. It is just tremendous. I do classes on a Thursday with my certification group, and we played with Claude last week, and we created a CDI tracker that they could use for tracking their queries. Awesome. So they were amazed. And we just did that in a few minutes. Now, of course, it wasn't, behind a database. It wasn't regulated and all that stuff. We have to think about all that stuff, you guys. We were just seeing what we could create. But if you have a concept and an idea, this is something you talk about all the time, Shannon. Getting the right people, and you could push that into a real product. And that's what excites me right now, Shannon. So those are just agents, things that can do things for us.
Yeah, it is very exciting. And also to think about sharing that cross-functionally, cross-organization, whether it's just your team or across the organization. I was thinking about, as you were talking, if you think about, depending on your role, maybe you have new projects that come to you all the time, right? And if you do, maybe you've got to go get templates from other folders, bring it all together, rename it according to your naming convention, and make a new work folder for that particular project, with the naming convention you prescribe. Well, what if you're able to say on a front end user, on an agent over an app that just says, hey, I need to do a new project for this work. It's going to be my user ID and today's date as the naming convention, right? Go out and find these. And if you have those agents pointed at where those templates exist, you can bring it back and build a work file. Well, if you do that for yourself, you might save 2 or 3 days over the course of a year in time that then you're now using your expert in the loop brain to work through the project rather than the administrative components. But what if you're then able to share that process, that agent across the organization, and they can just copy the idea and the logic and point it to their own folders or their own, their own sources that they need. That's massive potential. Depending on the size of your organization, that could be massive time saved over the course of a year, right?
Absolutely.
We can share things, break down those silos, people, break down those silos.
I
can't stand them.
And it's so great you said that, Shannon, because, when you identify that pain point, whatever it is, and you can apply that across the system, you can really solve real world problems.
You can.
With just one simple tool, right? And applying it to different types of areas that are struggling.
Yeah.
And break down silos. I love that.
Absolutely. And speaking of areas that might be struggling, our sweet profession that we all love so much, I was actually giving a presentation at THIMA, and I was talking through some of the things, model versus algorithmic based AI and things like that. And I just asked anybody if they had comments or questions, about models versus algorithms and things. And one person spoke up and said that they were concerned that this would stifle creativity. And she talked through that for a moment. And I said, well, it's been the opposite for me. It has done the opposite of stifle creativity. I've become so creative compared to what I was prior to having these tools at my disposal. And so I'm excited about it. So what do health information professionals need to do to use it effectively, to get excited, to not be, to decrease fear? What do we need to do as a profession?
Oh my gosh, love all that, Shannon. Not fear it, not think, oh my gosh, I got to stay away because it's going to take my job or it's going to impact me negative. My brain's going to get lazy or that kind of thing. We have to realize that this is here. It is here now. It is not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. So we got to decide that, are we going to get on the side where we can really understand and impact? Or are we going to still hide behind the corner and just hope it goes away? That's not going to happen. Yeah. We have to be proactive. We have to understand it. And boy, Shannon, what you said about being more creative than ever, once you really understand the bells and whistles, start going, your mind is just constantly thinking of potential of what you can do. And it's because it's our skill set. It is our nature. We are problem solvers.
Exactly.
We understand the revenue cycle in a way many don't. And this is a little off, but I really need to talk about this for a second. There was a change in the way our curriculum functions now. So where before, Shannon, you and I, and you, Seth, our training, I think, maybe have been more extensive. We didn't have tracks, for example. So now we have tracks. Some folks aren't getting what others are getting. It depends on what your school is teaching, right?
Yeah.
And so we're still that robust individual that has a great background of a variety of things, but we are a little different now than we were in the past.
Yeah.
But our mindset is from knowing the front end to the middle to the back end will thrive in an AI world.
That's true.
Once we really understand AI and how to apply it to what we're already doing, it can be tremendous. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I like to talk about.
I think when we went through school, we were more generalist, if that's a term. And nowadays, folks are being trained in more of a track, like you say, or a specialist type realm. And then the creativity thing is quite interesting because Shannon knows that oftentimes I'm either Negative Nancy. I tend to like Eeyore better. Eeyore's one of the best characters out there. So sometimes I go towards the negative side as well. And I think the question that was asked at the meeting was an interesting one, because my brain took it as not so much are we going to be less creative, it's just are we going to become so reliant on the technology that we no longer go out and try to solve the problems. And it made me think of, that's kind of an interesting thought, because sometimes we do, especially in the Western world, tend to lean towards the laziness. Once things are easy, we just sort of, hey, it's kind of nice, and let that go do it. I'll let my robot AI companion go manage all this stuff. But the creativity piece is interesting because Shannon knows this. I have a lot of ideas of things that I want to do.
So many. No, things that you want other people to do.
Well, I want other people to do it. That's true. But I don't necessarily know all the bits and pieces of how to put all these things together. But I did find a tool that is an AI coding tool, to where all I did was I went in and I said, and I don't pay for anything because I'm the cheapest human on the planet. So I get so many credits.
Not a health information coding tool. Let's be clear.
That's correct.
A developer coding
tool. And I get so many free credits a month in this platform. And I just started talking with the AI agent, just like I do with ChatGPT, or I typically use Grok, just a conversation to say, I want to create X, to where it's easier for me to do these 3 things. And then it's easier to connect me with a business or a service. And then it pops out a system. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to change this, that, and the other, because I think it'd be better for this. Well, there it goes. And now I have a fully functioning platform that if I was ever able to overcome my fears and actually publish this platform, I have a product. I have a company and a product that could actually be deployed today. And I don't know how it did it. I'll be honest. I will tell you that I have no clue all the back end stuff. One day I thought, what about the security stuff? So I went in and I asked it. I said, will you do a full security review to make sure that I'm compliant with all rules for all 50 states and in the country, and make sure that everything is okay from a user perspective and from the financial side? And it went through and churned through and came back with a report and said, here's everything that we found. And I said, will you fix that? And it sat there and worked and fixed everything.
Absolutely.
So creativity, I think, is going to shift from, instead of me going, well, I'd love to be able to do that one day, to now it's like, well, I can just have this conversation with this AI. I don't necessarily need to know how the AI is doing all the magic in the background.
Right.
What we call PFM, pure freaking magic. It's got all this PFM built into it. I just need to know how to utilize the tool. Is that a fair statement?
It is. And Seth, there's predictions that there will be a single individual who uses AI tools to become the first single individual billionaire who used AI solely to make their billion, without VC, without PE firms backing them, without angel investors, just me as an individual using AI tools to create something that people pay for and generating $1 billion in revenue.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
that
what
could
I
be
want. Any one of us, right? That's what I want to be able, the thoughts that I want to bring to our profession. There is someone in our profession that will do just that. That will be that company that is the unicorn. Yes, right? Understanding these tools and building something that is going to have so much impact. We're going to sit here and I'm going to think, well, my goodness, why didn't I even think of that? There's one of us that can do that. We have so much power now, like Seth said, in our hands to create tools that we don't have to know everything, right? Because the AI is creating and it's working. Now, we're going to need someone later on to stand that up, right? To really do the connections and the integrations and the real security and all that stuff. But you created the concept. You have a strong MVP. But I will tell you, I have many tools. And I have a tool right now that I'm using in the certification program. And that tool is a simulator. A simulator. Can you imagine that? Simulating, working with AI like you would do in your job.
Hmm.
I created that. So if I can create that, I can only imagine,
Oh, yeah.
what other folks can do. It's a phenomenal time. And I want us
It
to be a part
is.
of it and use that creative mind. Don't let it limit you. And yeah, I can get AI to do a lot of things for me. Right. But I have to review it. I got to check it. I just can't
Mhm.
churn it out. Maybe I look at it and it gives me an idea. Oh, I could have did this better. Wait a minute.
Mhm.
Now let me see if I can make it do this.
Yeah.
So there's just so many alternatives. And I don't think, limiting ourselves to that is going to help us, because if we limit ourselves, someone else isn't. Seth is going to be over here doing it.
Yeah.
Is going to be
That's
over
why I
here
keep him
doing
around as a friend.
it. Exactly.
I'm about to take that. But Eeyore is slowly speaking to me here in the back of the brain that it's still scary. It's still a bit
It is.
overwhelming of what's going to happen to, like, will my job be needed in healthcare? Will I need to, what's going to happen with that? I had a fascinating phone conversation yesterday evening. A member called and we got on a little three-way call with a few of us where their attorneys are using a platform to where they put their entire case file into an AI, a Gen AI platform, and say, give me the questions I need to ask for the deposition. What are the chances that you think that we'll win this case? Where are my risks?
Yeah.
And then the conversation went, we were talking about a BAA and what's needed, but then the conversation went, well, at some point, this is just going to be which attorney has the best AI that could come up with the best case. And it's going to be AI against AI instead of fought out in the courtroom. That's a fascinating thing to think about of, like, what is going to happen? What is this going to look like? And this is accelerating incredibly fast.
Talking AIs in the courtroom. Now that I would love to see, two AIs in there actually arguing the case.
Right.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That would be fun. It would be, it's a little scary.
It is.
There was a Instagram reel I liked a long time ago where somebody had two phones and they called two different Chinese restaurants and then just put them on speakerphone, and then they just went back and forth and they're like, you called me. No, you called me. It's like at some point we're going to get that with AI agents to where they're just battling. Who's in charge? What are we trying to solve?
That is a true statement.
What a fun idea.
And it's scary, but I think the more we run away from it, the less prepared we're going to be. I know I saw a post on LinkedIn recently, and they were talking about, how, of course we need to be there to govern coding process. But it was more of pushback to that. And I totally get it. I want to push back too. But we're in it. It's not going to go anywhere. And we got to get ourselves on the other side of it. So how can I prepare myself for, as it does impact, and there may be less of us, what makes me special?
Well, that's a great segue to
the
the next question.
Part. What I've been waiting on.
So what is happening in your world with how do people get prepared in AI credentials?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Shannon said, the last time I was here, I was just kind of working on something. AI was happening, and I was concerned, like, the person I just spoke about on LinkedIn. I have real passion for what we do. And that's why I've always thrown myself into it and always tried to be a voice. But I wanted, how can we get ourselves on the other side of that? What do we really need to know? And what do we need to understand? Of course, we're not all going to go out here and be Python specialists. We're not all going to be even a data analyst, right? So if I'm not those things, what am I and how can I fit in? So I started thinking about the pieces of that and what we've kind of grown from, right? We've had CAC for a long time. We've used NLP and release of information. It's been hitting our departments, natural language processing for a while. Yeah. So looking at those things and adapting them to generative, because I got really excited about generative, and I know Shannan did as well,
Uh,
where, you can enter something and it makes up words based off the context of all that huge amount of data it has.
mhm.
So that excited me. So I started coming up with a course, right? That was a mix of all the things that we do and how we can learn to apply those things to AI. So what's different about the course that I'm doing, and Shannan, she was a great, sounding board during all of
I
this. Her
loved it.
mind is so
Loved your vision.
AI driven. But being able to take those things and create a course that could take us to the next level, not the everyday course of, here, most of the courses I see, they're just talking about, you know, chat GPT a little bit, explaining AI a little bit, but I wanted us to be able to take action. So this to be an actionable course of understanding, of application, of hands-on, of real world that can take us to that level where someone can be that unicorn, right? That someone
Yes.
can create these tools instead of, and I'm not knocking any company. I think we have some great companies out there, but we
Mhm.
need to own more of these companies, you guys.
Yes.
We
Agree.
need to be the creators of some of these organizations, okay?
Yes.
Some of this great software, because they're our minds. Our minds. We have sat down and built these tools,
Yes.
and we have not reaped the benefit. I want us to reap the benefits, you guys. And
Yes.
so I wanted to create this course that get it CAHIIM accredited. Can you
Woo!
imagine? Can
And
you
it
imagine?
is.
It is CAHIIM accredited. Took the idea to CAHIIM, showed them, how it was breaking everything down. They were excited and on board. They are forward thinkers. Oh my gosh. And Angela Kennedy is such a forward
Yes.
thinking next level person.
Yes.
And so when I took that concept, oh yeah, I've already kind of been thinking about this. You have, put this into another level.
Yes.
So we had those conversations. It was vetted and reviewed, which was a tedious process, but now it is an accredited CAHIIM program for
I'm so
applied
excited.
AI in health information that includes modules and training. And you don't take a test at the end, you take a capstone.
It's
And the
awesome.
capstone is where you submit a project based off of what you've learned in the program. So we're very excited about it. And what I had to say today is Libman Education just launched this on their platform.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah,
That
so
is so exciting.
yeah, you can purchase this on Libman now. So Libman loved it. They were very interested.
That's
Look,
awesome.
we need something. We don't need anything basic. We don't need anything like, just here's AI and
Yep.
learning chat GPT and all that's in there. I mean, you're gonna learn some of that, but it has a HI voice to
Yes.
it. It has a HI focus to it, right? So yeah, that launched today. So I'm very
That's
excited
awesome.
about that.
Congratulations. So let me ask you a couple of questions.
Uh-huh.
First, I would love to know some of the modules that you have. And then second, what is the CEU requirement for this? Is there a CEU requirement for this on an annual or biannual basis?
Absolutely, Shannan. So it's going to get you 36 hours of continuing education.
That's
First
awesome.
of all, there is a CE requirement that's 2 years. You just submit a new capstone.
Okay,
Right.
fantastic.
So you just do a new project. The
Okay.
project includes a report or a portfolio of, what your presentation's about, whether that's maybe a prompt library that your team uses for, particular diagnosis. And that's just an example.
Sure.
And then you do a video and show that, or a data dashboard, right? You created a dashboard with AI, you show the dashboard, you walk through that dashboard and that's your capstone. And so that's every couple of years. And as far as the courses, you're going to have courses like data analytics and AI. You're going to have prompt engineering for health information. You're going to have compliance and governance for health information and AI. So they're tuned to what we do, and they have an AI angle to it. So we know how that particular function fits in AI. How can I support that role? And what are some of the things that I use? I talk about the simulator. So what the simulator, I love the simulator, you guys. I created a role-based simulator, right?
Nice.
Because like you were saying, Seth, we're generalists, right? Well, to some degree, but now we're also specialized. We have all these different roles we live in, right? So how could I create a course that Shannan can relate to, that Seth could relate to, that the CDI or the coder or whoever could relate to? It needed roles. So depending on what your role is, you can select it, and your training in the simulator will relate to that role. So if you're an HIM director, your training is going to be very director, mindset, manager focused. If you're a coder, inpatient or outpatient, the training is going to be focused towards being an inpatient or an outpatient coder. If you're a CDI, if you're compliance, it has a number of rules. If you're a physician advisor, that's in there as well. So in the simulator, you take that knowledge that you've learned in the modules, and the modules count for course completion. Not necessarily the simulation work. That's your playground, right? That's your sandbox. That's where I want you to get in there and dig and play around and understand. And so you can, pick whatever that role is, and you'll get maybe a simulated health record. Maybe you'll get some data related to HCCs or risk adjustment. So it just depends on where you are in the module. And it's just totally interactive. And to me, this is a unicorn product. So if anyone is out there,
this is a unicorn product, Sharon. This is good. I'm thinking of ways to extrapolate this across multiple professions, not just health information for your unicorn. Okay. And when we say unicorn project, we're not talking about a magic horse with a horn. We're talking about one of those highly evaluated companies that are worth, $1 billion straight out of the gate or whatever, like a multi-billion-dollar valuation on the market. So she means unicorn in the largest sense of the word. Sharon, I love this for a few reasons. First, I love the role-based. I love the simulations, the different modules. But what I love so much is this is designed for the health information professional. And so as I'm getting in and I'm learning how to use AI, becoming comfortable with this, just learning agents and learning inputs and outputs and all of those things, as a skilled health information professional who already has a background, I can test the AI, right? I can actually validate the results based on what I know. And if I disagree,
and you do that in the simulator.
You have to, right? And if I disagree, that's perfect. If I disagree with it, I go to my source to find out, am I right? Or is the agent right? And did I have this wrong? So first of all, we're validating as the skilled people, but also if we could potentially correct some of our own misunderstandings, right? By doing this work. What are the requirements? What are the prerequisites for a health information professional being able to take this?
Anyone can take this particular course. And I didn't tell you guys this. So I had a meeting with the educators. We had a town hall a couple of weeks ago. So this is launching out to all of the CAHIIM universities and college educators. I'm going to do a 2-day training with the educators. They're going to get the content for their pre-work. And hopefully this starts rolling out to some schools where, guess what? our students can leave college with a credential.
That'd be amazing.
Love it.
That would be amazing.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So the colleges, I mean, all the educators are very excited about it. They've been signing up for it. And this is going to help get us to the next level. It's going to change our way of thinking. Because a lot of this is about the way we think, right? That we're going to be able to move our organizations forward. All of our organizations, well, not all of them, but a lot of them have these little AI teams, right? They should have a AI task force, just have a group of stakeholders. I would hope that some of us are in some of those meetings.
Yeah.
But this will help you understand the conversations that you need to be having in those meetings. It'll help you understand the product. It'll help you understand the possibilities of where all this could go. And Seth and Shannon, I would love for you to take the course.
That's awesome.
So you could, see and talk about it and learn yourselves, right? Which no, you don't need to do that. But
oh yes, we do.
I would love for you to, just experience it. Definitely give me insight and pointers. We can always grow, always make something better. We've had our first cohort of students. Many of them are about ready for their capstone.
It's amazing.
Learning was from the very first day, the very first lesson.
It's amazing.
So they have been excited about it. I had someone from a hospital association take my course. I had no idea that she was over a hospital association. I just found that out, and she's over halfway through. But she told me how wonderful it was.
That's awesome. What's the course structure? How long does it take? Is it all self-directed, or do you have in-person workshops? How do we take this course?
Yeah, so this is 8 to 12 weeks asynchronous, right? Okay. So everything's there for you. For the cohorts that are a part of the program that I do under Upskills, I have been doing a once a week Thursday session.
Okay.
Like we do extra things like Learn Claude and how to create your own tool there. But there are some insights within the course as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have a book coming for it. Applied AI in Health Information is going to be released as a text to accompany the course.
That's awesome. When is that expected?
I'm still working on it, Shannon.
Okay.
I'd say.
Got it. I mean, you've been a little. What have you been doing with your life, Sharon?
I have been focused on birthing this applied AI course.
Yes. This is exciting for our profession, Sharon. Thank you for your commitment. Honestly, this is so exciting for our profession.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I am very excited about it and can't wait to sign you up. I'll send you guys the link.
Do it.
I like it. That sounds great. Thank you for being here and sharing this with our audience. We're excited about it and the incredible work that you're doing to push our profession forward. So thank you for being here, Sharon.
Thank you,
and
guys.
Sharon, if you'll share the link that you want us to put in the show notes for when we post, we'll put that on there so people can point to that and go check you out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, you guys, for having me. And I love what you all are doing and that you're still here and that you're still doing it. And you're changing lives every day. So
I hope
thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, Shannon, until next time, my friend.
I'll see you next time, buddy.